Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the Storey County Manager, Osborne, joins us here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room of the Nevada Builders Alliance. Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Storey County, helping build Nevada's future.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Welcome to Storey County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Storey County. Storey County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the home of the Nevada Builders Alliance here in Carson City during the legislative session. And we're joined by Osborne, who is the Storey County Manager. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Pleasure to be here. Good morning.
And as I always like to point out, for over 30 years now, I've been involved in one way or another with Storey County, and always appreciate that. So one of the things that Storey County has been promoting is SB 69, and it's in front of the Senate Committee on Revenue and Finance. And I wanted to ask you, because we talked to Bessie Fretwell from Southern Nevada the other day, former city manager for the city of Las Vegas, and wanted to get your thoughts on her points and why you guys brought this bill forward.
Really what Senate Bill 69 is intending to do is really just one thing. It's just to bring stakeholders to the table with the Governor's Office of Economic Development for two categories of tax abatements. That's the companies that are coming in investing $3.5 billion. Companies coming into Nevada spending $1 billion. It doesn't apply to any of the other basket of abatement categories that are under the NRSs. So it's important to note that, because there's been comments by folks out there that, all the abatement companies coming to Nevada will be affected by SB 69. What are we going to do? And it's like, it doesn't apply to them at all. Data centers and warehouses and lead abatements or recycling. There's all kinds of different abatements that are out there for various companies that we see around us. And they have all different amounts of percentages and things that are tied to benchmarks they meet and what they invest in the state. For the 3.5 and the 1.0, an example of those, for example, be Tesla Gigafactory. It's something like that. That is what it applies to. So really it brings the stakeholders to the table. What that means is right now the NRS allows the local government, a county or a city, to negotiate an agreement with that company during the time that it receives 100% tax abatements for a decade, that we can negotiate agreement to simply offset some of our costs that it takes for the local jurisdiction to serve the factory.
For example?
An example would be sheriff's services, police services, providing fire district services for, equipment, paramedics, things like that. When you talk about a company that's putting in 7 million square feet, company that has special situations with hazardous materials and processes and new technologies, and a company that's bringing in 5, 10, 20,000 employees, fluctuating, that's an impact to a local county. And that local county, in our case, we don't even see those direct tax revenue benefits like indirectly, like the region would through sales tax and people spending money where they live. We don't have that. We simply get no taxes for a decade. And all the current legislation allows us to do is we can negotiate an agreement with that gigafactory to offset those costs, to defer or to defray those costs. We would like to just change that language to require it. The Tesla Gigafactory came into Nevada twice, into Storey County twice. And for both of those gigafactories, they negotiated with Storey County in good faith. It was allowed under NRS to create this deferment agreement, and they did. And it did not stop them from building Gigafactory 1. It didn't stop them from building the truck factory for the Gigafactory 2. They came to the table with us. We had a very challenging negotiation for almost a year. And meanwhile, they worked with the governor's office on their application and keeping things moving along. They even made some investments in the ground during that process, knowing that they know this is going to work out one way or another. And we negotiated an agreement that was fair for both sides. The county doesn't make any money in that during that abatement period. We're still flat, but we're not in a situation where we're having to respond to such massive needs with no tax revenue coming in from that company.
Go ahead.
I think it's important to note too, when you look at those sorts of things, there's been approximately 300 companies that have been brought into Nevada from the Governor's Office of Economic Development that received abatements of one sort or another. We believe Senate Bill to date would have affected 3. And that would be the Gigafactory 1, Gigafactory 2, and the Redwood Factory.
So not a lot of effort. One of the things that struck me about Storey County and what has been occurring basically since 1998 as TRI has grown is that they're a great example, not just for Nevada, but for the whole country, of how you do economic development. So it would seem to me that local jurisdictions would want to learn from what Storey County has done. And if you're raising a red flag, there's a reason for it, and that attention needs to be paid for it. Do you think that Ms. Fretwell was wrong to think that you can negotiate this after the fact, basically?
The way it's done currently is really, we're not changing that. Currently, the 2 gigafactories came in that went through this process, the $3.5 billion investments. They apply, and then they go through a negotiation process to get those costs deferred. We share all the data. So there was some questions about, how do you assure that the negotiation is valid? And, well, both sides are checking that. They're looking at the data. Just gobs and gobs and gobs of data, and trying to figure out how many paramedics do you need, how many sheriff's department folks do you need, how many vehicles, how many staff that might be in the administration realm do you need, is there infrastructure costs that are needed? And all these things are counted and scrutinized on both sides to come up with a fair agreement.
One of the things that has struck a lot of us over the last year or so is lithium fires. And lithium is a big deal in Nevada. One has concerns that do we have the ability to fight fires caused by lithium? And I would imagine that would be one of the things that's a consideration here.
It is, and so this is another element of Senate Bill 69 is right now the NRS mentions cities and counties. Fire districts are not mentioned at all. They're not notified of an abatement company of this size coming to them, or actually any. The cities and counties, in our case, our county has a very strong relationship with the Storey County Fire Protection District and the fire chief, Jeremy Lonkar, and the prior fire chiefs, and we were able to work together to come up with some things to make sure that the fire district was covered. But the way it's currently structured right now, the fire district has no authority to discuss the matter with the state, to even participate during a go-ed meeting about the needs that they might have in providing paramedics, firefighters, special equipment, fire stations, other things that might be needed, hazmat response, training, anything. There's no control, there's no power, there's no influence, there's absolutely nothing. And in fact, that's even somewhat the case for counties and cities right now, where the only thing a county and a city really has the authority to do is we get a letter, it was mentioned, 15 days or 30 days, says, congratulations, you're getting a gigafactory, woohoo, and that's it. You're allowed as a county or a city to come to the go-ed meeting and speak during public comment of the meeting, not on the item that's actually spoke, but at the beginning or the end of the meeting when the decision has been made or before the meeting even starts. That is it. And the fire districts, they can speak during public comment too, but they don't even get the letter. In our county, we have a very strong relationship with our fire district and other folks. So we work together, we inform, we make sure we're communicating. That's how we get things done at the industrial park, by the way. It's really not rocket science. We work as a team, we don't silo, we use technology to make things efficient, we keep things minimal, we keep a very streamlined management style, and we're able to make things happen and get things done quickly. This is how we're able to communicate with a fire district in this environment that exists. But for other counties that may have multiple fire districts that they don't have that same relationship with, or that they just don't communicate with, or they forget to communicate with, there's nothing. That fire district would have to provide all those services. It could be tens of millions of dollars over a 10-year period. They may not have the money, yet that gigafactory comes in anyway with no discussion, no influence, absolutely nothing.
Well, that was kind of where I was going with this, which is that the county then is on the hook, or city, or whoever it might be, for that cost, whether they have the money or not. I mean, what do you end up doing? Going into debt to be able to fund this? Are you allowed to even go into debt to fund this?
Yeah, I could speculate, but I'll kind of give an example. What might happen is, different counties have different situations. So imagine Storey County here, a gigafactory comes our way. We're kind of well positioned to take this in, but we were able to negotiate that agreement to offset our costs. If we didn't negotiate an agreement, or the company walked from the table and said, we don't want to negotiate, we don't want an agreement like this, you could talk about 12, 24, $30 million of revenue during that period of time over those multiple agreements that the county would have had to foot itself. And you go back to 2014 when our county had very little going for it, that could have been a devastating economic situation.
And the other thing to point out is that with these abatements, the county doesn't get any money for a very extended period of time.
Yeah, and that is correct, Sam. But we do, and I'm going to kind of flip on the other side as far as folks have asked us, what do we think about the gigafactories? What do we think about SB1 that was approved in 2014? We're not against it. We're not against these gigafactories. We're not against the abatement programs. We're not against the incentive programs that the state has put into place that's transformed northern Nevada and all of Nevada into a superpower today in the world of technology and advanced manufacturing, and transforming itself from a gaming industry to a multi-dimensional industry. In our case, we see it as an investment that, yeah, there's going to be a 10-year period of nothing coming our way. It's an investment because we know after that period of time, there's going to be substantial tax revenues coming that in our case is going to save us from a century of deferred maintenance. Water systems, road systems, some of this stuff goes back to right after the Civil War. That is not an exaggeration in our county, and these are critical infrastructure components that we relied on that investment. We had to wait 10 years and we had to endure some challenging times, but it was the right thing. It was a good program. But that's because the company cooperated. They came to us and worked with us. They were good partners. If they weren't, that would not have necessarily been the same situation. And this is not a Storey County bill. This is not about us. It's about Esmeralda County. It's about Washoe County. It's about Elko. All the counties in the state are under unique circumstances that might be applicable to them, that they could get a gigafactory. That could happen in Esmeralda or Humboldt County. I was told there's no way a gigafactory would come to those counties. They're way too small. That's not even worth talking about. You have some of the world's largest lithium mining and prospects going on in those two counties. I don't know. Maybe a gigafactory would like to co-locate in some manner next to that. How are those two little counties going to be able to handle something with tens of thousands of employees and these types of things coming their way, and not that ability to negotiate an agreement to be able to work that out, be good partners, build that private-public partnership, transform the county into something great, and still allow that economic development opportunity to move forward?
Well, nobody could have dreamed that Thacker Pass would have existed 10 years ago. I mean, because the technology just wasn't there, and the government wasn't moving towards electric vehicles and electric everything, and now it is. And as you say, I mean, it's interesting. Thacker Pass has gone from what I initially thought was a 10-year development process to a 40-year development process, now to a 50-year development process. That's huge, to say the least. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We're with Austin Osborne after this timeout.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Storey County Manager Austin Osborne. So good news on I-80. It appears that there is money to expand the road and increase the safety on that road. Can you share with us the latest?
I think in that, I'd have to start with, Storey County has a great relationship with NDOT. And I think the best thing that's happened to NDOT recently is the bringing Tracy Larkin, the director, on board. She has just been fabulous. She is such a common sense, real earth kind of person. And she has definitely taken charge of that project and looking at common sense ways to get folks together and make that happen. We've had some great conversations with her about that project.
All right, so at this point, are we going to be looking at widening of the road? I mean, what kind of improvements are on the table?
Well, it's the project of NDOT, so whatever I say is interesting maybe, but I'm not there on their engineering team or whatever, but I understand that they do have some several phases between Reno Sparks Washoe and the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center of widening and otherwise configuring the road, to be able to handle more traffic. There's also some other secondary things that are in the discussions, of course, regionally. The Mayor Sparks, or the Sparks Mayor's La Posada connector and the Truckee Meadows lands bill.
Can we talk about those one at a time here?
Absolutely.
So the Sparks Road that Mayor Lawson is promoting is as a toll road. What are your thoughts on that, and what is the conversation coming out of the park as far as the idea that people would have to pay a toll, but then they would be alleviated of the traffic nightmare?
It depends on who you ask, but there's discussions that are going on with NDOT and Tracy and her team about how that might work. There's communications going on with the companies out at Tri-Center as well as those in the other area of the region.
Would they be contributing potentially monies to the road, because it would be a great help for them as well?
I do know that there's some conversations going on with some of the companies in the area about ways that they might be able to work with their employees and their systems to be able to tie into that. That's very preliminary at this point.
All right, let's take another break and we'll come right back after this timeout.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino during the $150,000 Denim and Diamonds giveaways, with cash and free play drawings every Thursday and Saturday, and $30,000 in grand finale giveaways Saturday, May 31st, including a top prize of $20,000 guaranteed. Your good times are...
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Austin Osborne. He is the Storey County Manager. We were talking about widening of I-80 between Sparks and the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. A lot of traffic on there right now. It obviously needs to be widened. One of my concerns would be that any widening process means that some parts of the roadway are going to be potentially shut down, and that would create even more problems. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I can't speak for the Nevada Department of Transportation, but I can tell you under Tracy Larkin and her team that is what they do, and they know how to build a project like that in phases and be able to work different transportation lanes as they're building one lane at a time and along the line. I know that there's some other alignment options that they're looking at as well. Whether it's the La Posada route, that's a little bit more of a long-term solution. There is also a potential alignment going through the middle of Storey County that's being discussed and actually under study right now.
And that would go to where?
That connect right about the Double Diamond area right over.
Oh, so South Reno.
Yeah, South Reno, right into Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. That's actually being studied by NDOT right now. And I know that all of these options are being looked at as far as, the phasing of the construction project, as well as long-term solutions for alternative routes and getting people off the interstate. Storey County has also looked at long-term solutions, has remaster planned the south end of Storey County to get people off of the interstate and more to the Highway 50 corridor, which is the same distance from the industrial park, except a much easier drive than actually going to Reno Sparks and housing in that area. And we think getting those folks off of the interstate altogether and living in Storey County in an area about 2,500 acres that we've rezoned, probably facilitate about 25,000 people ultimately, about the size of the employee center at Tri, that's a long-term solution as well.
For housing?
Yeah, for housing and for transportation.
There's also been talk about light rail potentially. Is that an ongoing discussion?
Storey County is a participant in the light rail study between Sparks and Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, NDOT, RTC, and those folks are also part of that. And we're communicating with them and also paying into contributing to that system. And maybe that will come up with some viable solutions as well for light rail.
We only have about 30 seconds here, but you know, TRI was a private company with no shareholders that turned into this magnificent project, and Storey County was hand in hand the whole way through. Now the owners are pretty much gone because all the land is sold, and yet Storey County has managed to maintain this private, almost private company kind of attitude. Is that hard to maintain?
It's always, everything's hard. But
spoken like a true county manager.
But you know, it's so ingrained in our culture to be business friendly and to work with folks and to keep things streamlined and simple. That's really the playbook. There's nothing. It's so simple just to make things work for people, just by not building bureaucracy. You look at your staffing, your internal models, your building permit applications. Use technology as much as you can to automate and systemate things or systemize things. That's how you do it. That's how you make something like that work. And then you have that development agreement that helps keep that long-term predictability in place as well.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir.
And we'll be right back.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Welcome to the Winnemucca Big R.
Hi, I'm John Walker. Welcome to Big R Lovelock.
Hi, I'm Rich Martin. Welcome to Fallon Big R.
My name is Braden. Welcome to Big R Fernley.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Big R Sparks.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room of the Nevada Builders Alliance. Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Storey County, helping build Nevada's future.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.